Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your first gameplay and overview straight from the Air Superiority dev server for the F-15J. This is a currently rank 8 battle rating 12.3 fighter in the Japanese Air Force's tech tree and comes in the tech tree just after the F-4EJ Kai. Now this is an interesting vehicle on a few different counts because, quite frankly, this might be the best F-15 in War Thunder upon release, and it's certainly a little bit better than the American F-15. You might be wondering to yourself, well, why is that? Well, technically speaking, it shows, at least on the stat card, that its rate of climb and turn time are slightly worse. I'm not sure if that's accurate. Maybe this has slightly heavier weight. I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, but these do have the same engines. Now, what this does have that the F-15A does not have are AAM-3 missiles. Now those missiles, even though this is not as good when it comes to fighting ground targets, doesn't really matter in ARB. The AAM-3s are arguably the best IR missiles in War Thunder upon release. These have 40 Gs of overload, they are smokeless, they have IRCCM, all aspect, and they have a decent enough range as compared to the AIM-9Ms, which only have 30 Gs of overload, although they do of course have a slightly higher missile guidance time. So realistically speaking, if only by a little bit, the AAM-3 air-to-air missiles, the IR missiles, are just slightly better than the AIM-9Ms, which is pretty interesting in my opinion, that the Japanese get that. And of course, Israel also gets the BAZ. If you guys want, I can do a gameplay of this as well. I don't really know if it's warranted, but they have the Python 3, which weighs quite a bit more, but is all aspect and does not have IRCCM. So realistically speaking, the Japanese F-15 is the best upon release, at least insofar as Air RB is concerned. So as I said, let's go ahead and get into a few matches here, see what we could do. I'm really stoked to be bringing this plane out there. Hopefully it's a bit better than the F-15A because I really didn't have that great of a time with it, but I guess we'll go ahead and see. As I said, let's get into a few matches. Now, unfortunately, we do not have a cockpit modeled quite yet. We will have that, of course, once the live server comes out. Hopefully once the live server comes out. Nor do we have any custom camos or anything like that, but Japan typically has some really cool camouflages, so I'm not at all worried about that. Now, in my opinion, for most maps, I think having a single drop tank is going to be more than sufficient. Heck, not even having a drop tank will probably be sufficient if you have 20 minutes of fuel and you use your fuel sparingly. So that said, let's go ahead, and I'm sure there are going to be some enemies on the other side of this volcano. See what we can do. But as you can see, just under half of the enemy team, at least it looks like just under half, is comprised of actual players. The other half are just bots, unfortunately. And that's kind of how dev server ends up being. Okay, we have an enemy right there. Let's see if I can fire my AIM-7M. So right away, I am maintaining substantially better lock right now than I was yesterday. Yesterday with the American F-15, I had like no lock. I actually might get this. Screw it. I'm gonna go fire on him anyways. Doesn't really matter. Got the kill. Very nice. And that is the AAM-3 in full display. Holy crap. That thing is good. Let's see if I hit him. Doubt it, right? All good things must come to an end eventually. I'm going to be killed here. Now, I'm turning okay. Wing rip doesn't really seem to be so much of an issue. That JAS-39, man. Holy guacamole. Very good aircraft. Oh, look at that. And I've got that F-16 on my tail. Thankfully, I've got a ton of countermeasures, so I should be okay. Let's go ahead and get back on this guy's tail. I'm going to probably fire my AIM-7N on him right immediately. I already feel like this is a much better aircraft than the F-15A. Now, I think part of it has to do with the fact that, quite honestly, I think they may have fixed some things between this and the F-15A. For example, I think, again, the radar is a touch better on this aircraft than it was on the F-15A. Again, I'm not entirely sure why I was having so many issues with it yesterday. I heard some people saying that pulse Doppler mode can kind of be screwy especially when it comes to different things kind of going on with the enemy. For example, like if the enemy is moving away or towards or whatever, there could be some instances where it kind of sucks. But ultimately, regardless of that, I'm having a much better time with this. Let's go ahead and fire this AIM-7M at this guy. Hopefully I can actually hit him. Sure I can, right? Got the kill. Very nice. That's 2 radar-guided missile kills in one match, whereas I didn't have a single one initially. That's, I mean, I don't know if that's impressive or whatever, but it's certainly not unimpressive like the F-15A was yesterday. Playing this is actually reviving my interest and hopes for the F-15. And again, I don't think that the F-15A was bad at all yesterday. It just kind of disappointed me insofar as comparing it to the JAS-39 Gripen, as well as the Su-27. Both of those I felt like were superior yesterday, but if this is at all representative, like the flight performance, the radar performance and all of that, if this is at all representative of the F-15A for the Americans, then I have no reason to be worried about it, you know, genuinely. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about this thus far. Okay, we have a JA-37 over here. The only thing I got left are cannons, so I'm just going to mess around here because why the heck not, right? Got a crit on him. Didn't get the kill, unfortunately. And, of course, we have an F5 down here. This guy is smoking. Got the kill. Look at that. Man, this thing is great. I don't know where all my problems were coming from yesterday. And if you guys want, I mean, definitely check that out. You know, my gameplay. It just, I was having some radar issues and wing rip issues. Not at all having that. Now, I was advised that the wing rip issues may have been due to a bug. So if they fix that bug, good on them. This definitely does not seem to have those wing rip issues that had. Like, I was having those all over the place. Every match, people were dying from wing rips if they were flying the F-15A. The F-15J, I can say, likely does not have those issues. But, of course, Gaijin and pretty much every other company will always say, oh, well, it's a bug. You know, it's not really a bug. It's just kind of how their software was performing. It's not so much a bug. But yeah, that being said, I mean, very impressed thus far with this thing. The whatchamacallit is a little bit screwy. The gun, you have to get used to that just because it's a bit off-center and aimed inwards. But otherwise, I mean, this thing is fantastic. Got 4 kills, 2 assists, 2 ground kills. Just had a great time with this thing thus far. And, yeah, I mean, the AAM-3s, I am thoroughly convinced right now, just after launching a few of them towards enemies, they are better than the AIM-9Ms. They are substantially better than the AIM-9Ms. Not that the AIM-9Ms are bad. They're still really, really good. But, like, you're taking, at least as of current, like, A-tier air-to-air missiles, and then the AAM-3 are, like, S-tier, right? Like, they are just a bit better. Or, like, A-plus tier versus S-tier. That's kind of like what we're talking about. And, yeah, this thing just has it. Like, I was worried about the F-15A dominating, like, how good that would be. I feel like the F-15J is going to dominate. This is going to be the new meta. This aircraft right here that I'm flying is going to be the new best aircraft, but because you don't have a lot of Japanese top-tier players, you're not going to see a ton of them. So, realistically, the Su-27 and the JAS-39 or the 37 Gripen, as well as, or actually the 39, as well as the F-15A are all going to be your new metas. But if you had more Japanese air players, this would be it. But either way, typically I like to have more than one match, but it doesn't really matter so much here because I already have the F-15A gameplay. This thing is just a really, really good aircraft. I'm very impressed by it. And I feel like the F-15A, I'm assuming that those fixes were put in. If this is how the F-15A is going to fly, the Americans and any other country that gets the F-15 has a hell of an aircraft in War Thunder that hopefully is representative of how this thing is in real life. Because if you guys know, In real life, the F-15 is a beast. But either way, thanks again for watching. I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.